Good morning, everyone. I'm T. Dube. And before I begin today's presentation on the chapter that you can see on the screen, I would like to make an appeal to you all. Since this is the fourth lecture that I am going to give on the fourth chapter from Flamingo, you must have enjoyed, I do hope, the previous three stories, the previous three chapters. So by now you must have experienced, you must have felt what kind of presentation I am giving, what kind of content I have included, what is the arrangement of each of these lectures that you are enjoying. Despite all these efforts, I would appeal you all to give your valuable suggestions, valuable words for improving these lectures in any way, so that I can include your suggestions, I can include your words, I can include your ideas, and you can speak through these lectures. I promise you would be speaking through your lectures by your name. I would be, if I find some ideas really innovative, I would be taking your name. So please give your valuable comments, your suggestions in the comment box, and I would be including your ideas, your suggestions, your words in my coming lectures. Now, as usual, what we are going to do in this particular lecture, how it has been organized, and then we move ahead in today's lecture. This lecture has been organized under the title, the Rattrap, as you can see, and 5 other subheadings. After the discussion of this topic, the Rattrap, the title, we will move on to about the author part. Then theme or central idea of this story will be discussed, followed by the Rattrap, understanding the story in detail. Then you will have summary, and towards the end of this lecture you will have analysis of this story, the Rattrap, written by Selma Lagerlof, Selma Lagerlof. It is one of the stories that I like most. It's one of the stories of standard 12 that touches me, and I really like the theme of this particular story. So let us begin today's discussion, today's presentation, and I would be beginning this story showing you something. And what I would like to show is this rat trap. So when you look at this box, which is made of these wires, you can see. So what would have come into the author Selma Lagerlof's mind then when she would be writing this particular piece? So I think that she must be observing this box made of wires, and its purpose, for what purpose this rat trap is used. Because the title of the story, the rat trap, is actually a metaphor, a comparison, which has been used to compare the entire world. So when the author, Selma Lagerlof, would be thinking of writing this story, I think it must have emerged in her mind that why not make the rat trap the title. So this rat trap, you can see, is made of wires, and the main purpose of this box made of wires is to trap a rat to trap those mice by using some braid, you can say some piece of fruit also, or anything that can attract the rat. Now, the central character of this story, the rat trap, is thinking that this entire world, the world in which we live, this planet, this earth, is nothing else but a rat trap like this. And the whole purpose of this world is to trap people, as the owner of this box uses some bread, or you can say some cheese or anything to trap the rat. Likewise, people on this earth, in this world, use different kinds of temptations, different kinds of opportunities, different types of baits, in order to attract people, in order to trap people, ensnare people, entice people. And once people get entrapped, this box that you see, let me open it. So once I am unable to open, it is getting stuck. Open. So once this box is open, sorry, I think I am unable to open it. Okay. So once the rat enters this box and this door of the box closes in on the rat, and then it comes to an end. The game is over. So this is the central idea, central theme of the story that we are going to discuss. So this is a very cynical idea, very negative idea about the world. So metaphorically we can say the central character of this story is also trapped in the box of his negative thinking about the world. And once he is treated with love, compassion, generosity, then he comes out of that narrow thinking, that narrow negative thinking about the world, that this world is nothing but a big rat trap. So this is the story that we are going to discuss in this chapter. Hope this demonstration must have helped you a lot in understanding what we are going to discuss in this story. So keep it in your mind, and I keep it here on the table, and we are moving ahead in the story. First, about the author. Now, after I have given you a demonstration of the rat trap, let us move on to our second topic, second headline, Selma Lagerlof about the author. Have a look. Selma Lagerlof was born in 1858 and died in the year 1940. She was a Swedish author and the first woman to win the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1909. So you should keep this information as a general knowledge as well. She's the first woman. So this can serve as your general knowledge also. So she is celebrated for her significant contributions to world literature, particularly for her captivating storytelling and rich imagination. You can understand from this demonstration that I have given you. So she has a very fantastic storytelling ability that we can understand. Lagerlof's writing is characterized by a deep connection to the landscapes and folklore of her native country. So most of the stories, most of the novels that she has written is characterized by the landscapes and folklore of her own country, that is Sweden. Her most renowned work is The Wonderful Adventures of Nils, that was published in the year 1906. This is a beloved children's book that combines adventure and folklore. This novel, filled with anthropomorphic animals and moral lessons, has captured hearts of readers and of all ages of generation. Lagerlof's other notable works include this one, Gösta Berling's Saga, that is 1891, a novel that explores the complexities, of human nature. And next novel, that is Jerusalem, was published in the year 1901 and 2. It's an epic novel set in hometown of Murbaka. Her writing often delved into themes of social justice. So these are the social justice, morality and supernatural, reflecting her keen insight into the human condition. So these are the usual themes that are discussed in her works: social justice, morality, and the supernatural, reflecting keen insight into the human conditions. Selma Lagerlof's literary legacy continues to inspire and enchant readers worldwide, leaving indelible mark. Indelible, the word indelible, that means indelible means that cannot be erased, that cannot be deleted from the memory of your mind, on the world of literature. Her ability to weave folklore, fantasy and moral allegory into compelling narratives has secured her a place among the most celebrated authors in story. So this is a brief introduction about Selma Lagerlof. Now let us the theme or central idea of the present story, that is the rat trap. Hope you must have understood from the demonstration that I give you. The central idea of the story, The Rat Trap by Selma Lagerlof, revolves around transformative power of kindness and compassion. Memorize this highlighted part of this piece. So, the central idea of the present story, The Rat Trap by Selma Lagerlof, revolves around the transformative power of kindness and compassion. Let me discuss this in simple language. So if you show kindness, if you show compassion, if you show mercy, if you show generosity, in other words, if you try to touch people's heart with your human qualities, your behavior, your kindness, your generosity, your philanthropic approach has the power to change people, to transform people, to inspire people to leave their negative thoughts and move ahead towards the positive. Fantastic phrase, must be kept in mind. It illustrates how a simple act of generosity, beautiful sentence, and trust can change the course of a person's life, even if that person has been trapped in a cycle of dishonesty and despair. So this story is going to show you that the qualities that I discussed have the power to take people out of their negative thoughts, their negative ideas. This is what the story is going to talk about. The central character of the story, a rat trap peddler. Peddler means sailor. A rat trap sailor. Lives a life of poverty and petty thievery. So how is he living? So he is a poor man and he is a petty thief. Petty thief, petty means a small time thief. Small, steals someone's money. Can be a pickpocket. We will see in the story. He steals money, viewing the world as a trap designed to ensnare people. So he looks at the world as a rat trap. This rat trap peddler thinks that this entire world is a rat trap. And its sole purpose, the only purpose, is to ensnare people, to trap people. However, when he is offered shelter and warmth by a kind-hearted woman, this is what the thing is going. Offered shelter and warmth by a kind-hearted young woman and her father on Christmas Eve, that means on 24th December. Christmas falls on 25th December. So this story takes place on Christmas Eve, that must be 24th December. His perspective shifts, that rat traps peddler's thoughts. Perspective means thought or attitude, how you look at things, how you look at people. So that rat trap peddler's perspectives, his outlooks, his opinions, his thoughts about the world change. This is how is the resolution. Their hospitality and trust touch his heart. So it shows that the battery is low. So let me put my laptop on charge. Yeah, back now. So their hospitality means the kind of reception, the kind of respect you give to a guest is called hospitality. So their hospitality and trust touch his heart, and he decides to return their kindness by leaving behind the stolen money in a rat trap as a Christmas gift. So in return of the kindness, the generosity, the compassion, the daughter in particular, whose name is Edla Wilmanson, we see into the story, whose daughter means a young girl helps the man, leaves behind the bad thought and moves ahead in the positive thought of life. This gesture symbolizes his redemption. Redemption means getting freedom from difficult situations or coming out of negative thoughts will be called redemption. And transformation, that means change. He is changed from a negative thought holder to a positive thought holder, from a petty thief into a person capable of genuine gratitude and goodness. Fantastic. I have written also very fantastically. You should appreciate. Now, through this act of kindness, the story conveys the message that people can change. So through this message, this story conveys the message that people can change, and their actions are not solely determined by their circumstances or past mistakes. It highlights the idea that compassion and understanding have the power to break the cycle of cynicism and dishonesty. Fantastic line. So it highlights this act of a young girl whose name is Edla Wilmanson, highlights the idea that compassion, mercy, generosity, and understanding others have the power to break the cycle of cynicism, negative thought, and dishonesty. offering individuals a chance for redemption. Redemption again means freedom from negative thoughts and a fresh start. The rat trap ultimately celebrates the capacity of human goodness and the potential for positive change even in the most unexpected circumstances. Hope you must have understood the central idea and must have enjoyed the kind of content I'm giving you. Moving ahead to the third part of this story lecture, that is the rat trap, understanding the story in detail. Now, let us begin the third topic. Third or fourth. This is the fourth. Title, about the author, central idea, the rat trap, understanding. So this is the fourth one. Okay. Introduction of the rat trap seller and the rat trap theory. So once again, I am holding this rat trap in my hand, and let me keep it in front of you so that you can understand it forever and ever in your life. So the story begins with the introduction of a man who sells small rat traps like this, made of wire like this. So you can imagine, you can think about the man who does the business of rat traps. So next point is, he lives a destitute life, a poor life. And because his business is not profitable, when he sells rat traps, he does not earn as much money as to feed himself or keep his body or soul together. This is an idiom that means to survive anyhow. So because his business is not profitable, he is not able to even manage to square a meal, then he starts committing small theft. And sometimes he starts begging also, going from door to door and asking people to give him food, clothes. So it can be easily understood the financial condition of the man, the kind of health he would be, the kind of clothes he would be wearing. So the first paragraph itself gives you the introduction. And as a result, what happens? His clothes are in rags. He put on dirty and tattered clothes. His cheeks are sunken. Sunken means it shows that he hasn't eaten for years and years. And if you look into his eyes, you can easily understand that hunger shines out from his eyes. So you have to have mercy on such a man. The story moves ahead. So whenever this rat trap peddler, taking a few rat traps dangling on his body, goes from place to place, he falls in a line of thinking. He starts thinking. Obviously, because he is a rat trap maker, so he thinks about this rat trap only. He thinks about the rat trap. One day what happens, let me take you to that part of the story, this part of the story. This. And then I keep it again. So he had been naturally thinking of his rat traps when suddenly he was struck by the idea that the whole world about him, the whole world with its lands and seas, its cities and villages, was nothing else but a big rat trap. This is his thinking. It had never existed for any other purpose than to sell baits for people. Baits here means temptations. I have already discussed temptations and opportunities. Opportunities are deliberately laid out to lure or entice individuals into. So he thinks that the world offers riches, joys, shelter and food, heat and clothing, exactly as the rat trap offered cheese and pork, and as soon as anyone touches the bait, it closed in on him, and then everything came to an end. So this was his thinking about the world, that this world is nothing but a giant rat trap. Here it has been written also. The world had, of course, never been very kind to him, so it gave him unwanted joy. What is the meaning of this unwanted joy? The protagonist found a kind of unusual or unexpected pleasure in having negative thoughts about the world and its motives. So when the rat trap peddler used to think that this world is nothing but a big rat trap, and its only purpose is to snare people, to trap people by providing opportunities, by providing joys, by showing beauty, by showing wealth. This is the purpose of the world. But this is a negative thinking of the world. Why did he have such negative thinking? He had such negative thinking because the world had never been kind. The world had never been kind to him. So wherever he would go, he would see frowning faces, people holding nose, smelling, trying to keep away from him, giving him cold shoulders. So wherever he would go, he would be feeling humiliated, insulted, disrespected, disgraced. So because he used to receive these negative thoughts about himself from the world, so he took revenge on the world, thinking negatively about it. So this is his thought. This is rat trap theory. What happens? Let's have this rat trap again in front of you. Wonder what happens? That, let me take you to the second part. Before you move, please have a look at this question, and this is how you should write your answers perfectly. Now, this part of the story. Have it and keep this always in your mind. Why I am showing you? Because your memory can become stronger. When you see things physically, it becomes easy to understand things. So what happens one day, this rat trap peddler wants night shelter. He has to spend his night, and his eyes fall on a cottage. He knocks on the door of the cottage. The owner of the cottage opens it, and he is given unexpected warm welcome by the owner of that cottage. Who was he? A crofter. A crofter is a small-time farmer who takes a piece of land, you can say on rent, cultivates it and grows crops. So he is a crofter who welcomes the rat trap peddler. and gives him unexpected, kind reception because he is living alone. But that night when the Rattrap peddler was given shelter by the crofter, the crofter showed him some money, 30 kroner. Kroner is actually currency of Sweden. So the Rattrap peddler, praising or bragging about his cow, informed the Rattrap peddler that he had sold milk for 30 rupees. You can understand? 30 kroner. It is possible that the Rattrap peddler would not have believed him. So in order to make him believe that whatever he was telling was not made out, was not false story, so he showed 30 rupees to this beggar. Morning came. Both of them woke up from their bed. The crofter left house and the Rattrap peddler also went his way. But after some time, say after 30 or 40 minutes, he found himself standing in front of the door of the cottage. Why? Those 30 kroner were in his mind, and he steals that money. He steals those 30 kroner. Then what happens? Please stop. Let me go back again because I was taking the pages a little faster. It shouldn't happen. So you stop the lecture wherever you find you need to read in detail and then move ahead. This is one question that can be asked in your exam. Now what happens? Moving on to the third scene. Now, let me keep it here. So after he steals the crofter's money, initially he thinks that he is a very smart person because he has stolen the crofter's money. But there is a growing suspicion in his mind. He thinks that walking on main road would be dangerous for him. Must be thinking that the man whose money he had stolen might try to chase him, to capture him. So because of this fear, he changes the course of his path and enters into a forest. Then what happens? He finds himself lost. So the man, look at the first part, the man gets lost in the vast forest and his initial attempts to find his way out fail. So initially when he enters the forest there is no problem. But as day rolls on, it advances and he is unable to come out of the forest, then his worry, his fear, he realizes, look at the second point, he realizes he has been ensnared in the forest. Just like the thought, the word traps people. Midday comes to an end. Evening comes. Darkness falls. And with falling darkness, his fear and despair starts increasing. He thinks that his end is certain. His death is inevitable in that dense forest. At night he would be eaten away by some animals or could happen anything to him. So as he lies down on the ground, he hears, next look at this point. So he hears the sound of hammer, thumping sound, dull sound when somebody strikes something with hammer, then that sound comes to his ear. So he hears the sound of hammering from a distance and realizes that it is coming from somewhere. There must be some people. Next point. He heads towards the sound, hoping to find help or shelter, and then reaches an iron factory called Ramzo Iron Works. The name of the iron mill was Ramzo Iron Works. There, when he reaches at Ramzo Iron Works, what happens with him? Let us see in the next part of the story. And here I am forwarding it so that you can match the points, and wherever you see the black or bold parts that are given to help you understand the difficult, like suppose if you want to understand the meaning of the word pig iron, its explanation is given, what pig iron is. Now moving on to the next part of the story. This is one question that can possibly come from this part of the story. And here we are moving on to what happens with him at Ramzo Iron Works. Now, what happens at Ramzo Iron Works? Look at the heading. Encounter with the Iron Master, invitation, declining the Iron Master's request, Edla V. Manson's persuasion, visiting the manor's house. So these are the points that we are going to discuss under this heading. So this Rattrap point number 1, the man enters the forge of Ramzo Iron Works, where he is mistaken for an old acquaintance whose name is Nils Olof by the Iron Master. Let me explain it. So when he sleeps there, when he lies on the ground taking rest, then the owner of that iron mill, who has been used here, Iron Master, comes that night and mistakes him as one of his regimental comrades, means people with whom he had worked in police force, defense force. So there the Iron Master thinks that this Rattrap peddler is one of his colleague who had worked with him in defense. You can say here, you can understand army. And his name is Nils Olof. So thinking that this Rattrap peddler is his old acquaintance, his comrade, his old friend, so he talks about his family, about his wife, about his sons and children. And because it is Christmas time, look at the second point. The Iron Master offers him hospitality. He invites him to come to his house. So the Iron Master offers him hospitality and a place to stay for Christmas Eve. Despite his initially ragged appearance. Now, why does the Rattrap peddler not say that he is not his friend, he is not his old acquaintance, he is not the person whom he is mistaking? Because he thinks that if he hides this truth, it is possible that this owner of this company can throw him a few kroner, a few rupees, and therefore he does not tell him the whole truth about himself. look at point number 3. The stranger, afraid of being trapped and arrested for his theft of crafter's money, declines the iron master's offer of hospitality. So when the iron master invites him to his house on Christmas Eve, he declines the offer. Why does he refuses to go with him? Because he knows that he has stolen 30 kroner from the crafter, and if unfortunately his identity is established, then it is possible that he might be arrested and he would be in trouble. So accepting iron master's offer to go to his house would mean throwing himself deliberately in the lion's den, in lion's mouth. So he thinks. What happens then? Every time the iron master requests him and he says no, no and no. Finally, when the iron master, the owner of this Ramzo Iron Works, understands that maybe out of hesitation or because of his poor conditions, his friend Nils Olof doesn't want to accompany him to his house, then he leaves. And soon his daughter, Edla Wilmanson, comes to the company. Then what happens? When she comes, look at this point. After Iron Master's departure, his daughter Edla Wilmanson pays a visit to Ramzo Iron Works. She convinces the stranger to be their guest on the pious occasion of Christmas, assuring him of his safety and freedom to leave their house at his will. Once you read the story in detail, you will find that Edla Wilmanson, when she is inviting this Rattrap peddler to her house, she observes that he is hesitant and is afraid. And his hesitation or fear makes her understand that this man either has run away from prison or must have done something wrong because of which he was not going. So sensing this fear, understanding his situation, she assures him that he would not be harmed in any way and he would be free to leave their house as safely, as securely as he wants. So she gives this assurance, and then the Rattrap peddler gets convinced and goes to her house. Then what happens there at Manner's house with the Rattrap peddler? Let us see in the story. And here I am moving ahead, showing you the story in detail. Wherever you want to, and especially where I have underlined the sentences, pause there, understand the meaning. It will be easier for you to understand the entire story because everything has been given in a systematic manner. So this question can be asked, this question, and this is how you should write your answers in your exam. Now moving on to the next part. Christmas Eve. What happens there? There at the Manner's house, the man enjoys a peaceful Christmas Eve at this Edla Wilmanson's house with good food and warmth. He is given clean clothes and looks presentable. However, when the Iron Master sees him in broad daylight, in his confusion regarding the stranger being his old regimental associate disappears. So this unfortunate thing happens with him. So now, when this Iron Master sees him in broad daylight, his confusion regarding his the iron master, this peddler being his old friend, disappears. It becomes clear that this Rattrap peddler is not his defense comrade, the friend with whom he had worked. He's not Nils Olaf. And then he shouts at him. Look at this point. The Rattrap peddler is threatened to be inspected by the sheriff. So he threatens him that the law officer of the area would be called and he would be inspected. This goes against the promise his daughter had made to him. Therefore, as Edla Mansion had promised that he would be left to leave their house in the way he would like, then she intercedes means comes in between the Rattrap peddler and her father. So look at this point. The Rattrap peddler is threatened to be inspected by the sheriff, the law officer. The daughter of the iron master shows kindness and compassion towards him. Now, after she shows compassion, generosity, kindness, this Rattrap peddler gets confused. What is the game going on between father and daughter? Father, on the one hand, is trying to throw him away, while the daughter is showing compassion, kindness. So what is the matter? So he looks at her in boundless amazement, in surprise. Why she is doing this? Then what happens? In the coming part of the story, what happens? On 25th December, on the day of Christmas, early in the morning, when the iron master and his daughter go to church, there at the church, they come to know something about this Rattrap peddler. What do they come to know? Let us see. And here it is scene-wise story in detail. Pause it, read it, and wherever you will feel difficulty, that explanation has been given, so you can pause. This important question can come from this part, and we are moving towards the last part of this story. So what happens here? The man's departure from the manor's house. Okay, let me give you this part. On Christmas morning, the man is allowed to rest while the iron master and his daughter attend church. There at the church, they come to know that one of the old crofters of ironworks has been robbed by a man who goes around selling rat traps. When they return home, they find that this rat trap peddler has left, leaving behind a rat trap with money and a letter explaining his actions. So, what happens in this part of this story? When the iron master and his daughter on Christmas go to church, there at the church they come to know from people that one of the former employees, a crofter, a farmer, a former farmer of the mill, has been robbed of his money. And the man who robbed him off is a rat trap peddler. So the iron master stares at his daughter, demanding explanation. because it was she on whose insistence, on whose interjection, the Rattrap peddler was allowed to stay at their home. So they leave church in a hurry to be sure that their expensive belongings must have been cleaned off by this petty theft by the time they reach home. Does it happen like this? Let us see in the story. And this is the question that can come in your exam. Now here we go for the last part. Revelation of the truth. The iron master and his daughter discover that the man had left the stolen money in the rat trap as a Christmas gift. The young girl gives a little cry of joy. The letter reveals his transformation from a petty thief to someone touched by their kindness. So, when the iron master and his daughter reach home, they ask the doorkeeper if the Rattrap peddler or the guest who was staying back has left. He says yes, he has left. Was he carrying anything with him? Asks the owner of the factory. The servant says, no sir. Instead, he has left something behind for Miss Wilmanson. And when this young girl sees that gift, Christmas gift, there is no limit of her happiness. She gives a cry of joy because she understands that the generosity, the kindness, the compassion, the mercy, the understanding that she had shown to that Rattrap peddler has been paid in kind back. The last part of the story is really very heart-touching. You must read it. And this is what he writes. Look at this. He says, the young girl opened the package which was so badly done up. Done up means arranged, that the contents came out in view at once. She gave a little cry of joy. She found a small rat trap, and in each lay 3 wrinkled 10-kroner notes. But that was not all. In the rat trap lay also a letter written in large, jagged characters. So what had he written? He has written, Honored and noble miss, since you have been so nice to me all day long, if I was a captain, I wanted to be nice to you in return, as if I was a real captain. For means because I do not want you to be embarrassed at this Christmas season by a thief. But you can give back the money to the old man on the roadside who has the money pouch hanging on the window frame as a bait for poor wanderers. So this is his redemption. This is his transformation. This is the question that can come. This is his redemption. This is his transformation. And the last part you see, very emotional. What he writes, the rat trap is a Christmas present from a rat, so he calls himself a rat, who would have been caught in this world's rat trap if he had not been raised to captain. So he writes that if he had not been given that reception, that kind of treatment, that kindness, that compassion, that touch of love So he would have remained a rat only. Because in that way, he got power to clear himself. And this letter is written with friendship and high regard. Captain von Stalin. So in this way, he got rid of his negative, cynical thinking about this world, and this was his transformation from a negative thinker to a positive thinker. A man who is released from his narrow thoughts about the world, his entire world being a rat trap. Hope you must have understood. And now it is time to present the summary. I think though there is no need, but if you keep the summary at one place, it gives you the entire sequence of events at one place. So let us move on to the summary part. Now, after we have discussed the story, the rat trap in detail, let us understand the summary of the entire story, because here you will be getting collection of all the keywords. So it will be always easy for you to have the entire keywords kept over here, and if you keep this entire summary in your mind, then you will manage to write any answer, including the keywords. So let's begin. Look at paragraph number 1. The Rat Trap is a short story that begins with the introduction of a destitute man that we have seen, the rat trap peddler, who sells small rat traps made of wire. He resorts to begging and petty thievery to survive. One day, he starts to see the world as a giant rat trap designed to trap people with bait. He believes that temptations and opportunities in life are like bait, and when people fall for them, they get ensnared. Look at the second paragraph. I think there should be no difficulty for you in understanding. I have already explained everything in the story. Even if you feel, please write your problem. While wandering one day, he comes across a cottage where he is offered shelter by the kind old man living there. The man shares stories about his cow, his source of livelihood. The rat trap seller, driven by temptation, steals money from the cottage and escapes into a vast forest. Lost and frightened, he hears the sounds of an iron mill and heads towards that mill, whose name is Ramso Iron Works, where he enters the forge, mistakenly identified as an old acquaintance by the iron master. We have seen that the owner of the factory thinks that he is a friend of his, old friend of his, an old acquaintance with whom he had worked in army, you can say here. Then, despite the initial misunderstanding, he is offered hospitality for Christmas. The daughter of the iron master shows kindness and compassion toward him. Then what happened? This daughter is Edla Wilmanson. On Christmas morning, the iron master and his daughter attend church, leaving the man to rest. There at the church, they come to know that the man, here the sentence is wrong. The man harbored. So there at the church, they come to know that the man they have harbored, that means given shelter, harbored at their house, harbored there, that means here harbored there means at their house is in fact a thief. They suspect that by the time they reach home, most of their valuables would have been stolen away by their guest. When they return, they find he's gone, leaving behind a rat trap with money and a letter. The letter reveals that he was a petty thief who experienced a transformation due to the kindness he received. He returns the stolen money and leaves a message of gratitude. So this is the change that takes place in him. Finally, the story ends by emphasizing the transformative power of kindness and compassion, suggesting that even those who have gone astray is a phrase which means gone on wrong path, can change when treated with empathy and care. It serves as a reminder that people should not be misjudged solely by the circumstances. Means, if you feel that there is a person, if there is a poor man, if there is a beggar, if there is someone who is coming at your door, he is like that or she is like that. So they have the capacity to change, as their actions and choices can be influenced by the treatment they receive from others. So it also shows that these people give back to the world same thing that they receive from the world. So this is the summary of this part, and now it's time to move on to the analysis part. Let's move there. Again, the Rattrap analysis of the story. Everything is given over here. The plot. The plot revolves around a destitute man, Rattrap peddler, who sells rat traps to make a living. He sees the world as a giant rat trap where temptations and opportunities are baits. The story takes a turn when he seeks shelter at a cottage, steals money, and escapes into a forest. He finds his way to Ramzo Ironworks, where he is mistaken for an old acquaintance and invited to spend Christmas Eve. The kindness he receives transforms him. The story ends with a man leaving money in a rat trap as a Christmas gift. Characters: the rat trap peddler, the protagonist, a homeless man who survives by selling rat traps, is the character, the protagonist of the story. The iron master, the owner of Ramzo Ironworks, initially mistaking the protagonist for an old acquaintance. Edla Wilmanson. So Edla Wilmanson is the iron master's daughter who shows compassion and kindness to the protagonist. Setting. The story is set in rural Sweden, featuring contrasting settings like the forest, the cottage, and Ramzo Ironworks, which adds depth to the narrative. Theme. What is the theme of this story? Transformation. The central theme is the transformative power of kindness and compassion. The kindness shown to the protagonist changes him from a petty thief to someone touched by empathy. The world as a rat trap. The story presents a metaphorical theme that the world can trap individuals with temptations and snares. What is conflict? This conflict is conflict. The protagonist faces an internal conflict about his actions and the consequences of his theft. He also experiences external conflicts as he navigates the forest. and interacts with the cottage owner and iron master. Symbolism. The rat trap symbolizes the world's traps and temptations. The stolen money left in the rat trap at the end symbolizes the protagonist's transformation and redemption. And narrative style. The story is narrated in the third person, providing insights into the thoughts and emotions of the characters and not of the narrator or the writer. Irony. There is dramatic irony when the iron master mistakes the protagonist for an old acquaintance. The ultimate irony lies in the transformation of protagonist from a thief to a man touched by kindness. And moral lesson. The story teaches that kindness and compassion have the power to change people, even though who have gone astray. It also highlights the idea that appearances can be deceiving, and judging people solely based on their circumstances can lead to misunderstanding. And finally, we have resolution. The story concludes with the protagonist's departure, leaving behind the stolen money as a Christmas gift. The resolution showcases his redemption and the impact of kindness on his life. In the Rattrap, Selma Lagerlof delivers a compelling narrative with rich symbolism and a powerful message about the potential for positive transformation through empathy and understanding. It underscores means emphasizes the importance of treating others with kindness, as it can lead to significant changes in their lives. So this is analysis of the Rattrap. Hope you must have understood and enjoyed. And as I appealed at the beginning of this lesson, drop your comments, whatever improvement you want to be made in further lectures. So it's all from my side, and I would also request you to subscribe this channel, become a confident speaker, a presenter, a writer, and of course, a first-class student and an excellent teacher. If you want to practice my questions that I have framed, as a student, you will not be missing marks. And if you want to join my writing course, you can text your message that you are interested in joining the writing course. So it's all from my side. Thank you for being with me.